Hello, my name is Wes Adams, and I'm going to show you how to do a Homercast. First, let me tell you what a Homercast is. So, a Homer is a guy or a girl who cheers for the home team. I'm not talking about some guy like Jim Rome who covers all the sports or whatever. I'm talking about a guy who cheers for the home team, and that's all he cares about. And that's the way I am. I cheer for my teams. One of them is the University of Georgia Bulldogs, and football in particular. And so I'm a homer, and I like to listen to the announcers uh, make the calls that are also fans. And those announcers are called homers. So, for example, classic Homer is this guy, Larry Munson. So, when I was a kid, what my dad would do is he would turn on the Georgia game and turn on the radio, and he would turn the volume down on the TV and up on the radio, and we would listen to Larry Munson make the calls while we watched the game on TV. Nowadays, that's really hard to do because everything's digital and satellite and there's a delay. And so the TV and the radio are never in sync. No matter how you do it, by default, they're not in sync. So what I do is I take the video from the TV and the audio from the Georgia broadcast, and I put them together and then put them out on YouTube so that people can watch the game and listen to Georgia Bulldog radio. Um, Larry Munson is not alive anymore. He died in 2011, and he'd retired before that as the commentator for Georgia football. Now it's Scott Howard, who is also a great homer. Um, but Larry's not around anymore, but he was the best. So let me show you how I do this. Number one, you need some stuff. So I purchased this recording device, and basically you can put an SD card into this thing and feed an HDMI signal through it. Press the button on the top, and it records in 1080p whatever passes through it. But there's a problem. Almost all sporting events are copyright protected, and the HDMI signal has a special layer in the data called HDCP, I think. Don't quote me on all this stuff here, but there's a special layer in the protection called HDCP, and you've got to strip that out of there somehow. And the I actually did this years ago, and I said to myself, surely there's some really cheap HDMI splitter that just drops the HDCP signal because it's so cheap, because it doesn't support it, because it's not compliant. And there was. I mean, I happened across this cheap splitter and it did it. And so recently I went back looking for this splitter again because I lost mine or it burned up or something. And I found it. So this splitter right here, View HD version 1.3. Now you've got to pay careful attention when you buy this thing because the newer versions of this splitter do support HDCP and they will not strip the protection off. So you've got to do a little bit of research and you've got to look around and you've got to make sure that you're getting one of these older versions that splits off the copyright protection. But I bought one of these and I don't remember where I got it. This is eBay, but I got it somewhere and it works. I take the signal from whatever I'm using to watch the game with, and I pass it through this splitter, and then I take the signal and I pass it through my recording device, and I can record anything. Anything. I can record it, and it ends up as an MPEG file on a chip. Okay, so now I've got my video. That's great. But simultaneously, while I'm recording the video, I've got to be recording the audio. So I'm recording the video on this little device, and I'm recording the audio on my on a computer. Okay, one of the machines you're looking at now. So in my case, I go to the University of Georgia website, georgiadogs.com, and I go to the place where you can listen to audio broadcasts. Now, there's different ways to do this, and I'm sure most universities and whatnot have different ways to do this, but I personally have the best luck going to the actual University of Georgia website and streaming it right from a web page. Okay, so This actually maybe is distributed by TuneIn, which is an app, and that's fine if you want to try that. Um, Personally, I have the best luck with the thing working and the audio streaming and not dropping and pausing and chopping. I have the best luck right here on the web page. You click play, and if this were a Georgia game,
The
then
station you're
you'd be
listening
hearing
to
the
is
game right now,
experiencing
not
technical
this
difficulties.
canned bit of audio. All right. So start the game up. It's pregame. They're talking about the game. It's 10 minutes to kick off. You're already recording the video on your recording device, and just let that run. It'll run for 8 hours on a big chip or more. Put a big chip in there. Video will run and run and run. Start up your audio. Get it going. Now, here's the trick. Now, I'm using Audacity, which is a free audio editing program. Works great. Here's the trick. Up in the top, there are some controls. All right, you can tell Audacity where the audio signal is going to come from. Like, is it going to come from the microphone jack? Is it going to come from a headset that you've got plugged in? Like I'm on a headset right now. Um, there's lots of ways to dictate the settings for the recording. What you want to do to make this work, as the best setting I have found, is you want to plug your computer into an HDMI flat screen TV um, that has audio. Okay, so my monitor that I'm using right now has audio. It has speakers built in, and I'm using an HDMI cable to connect my laptop to my monitor. Not unusual. Okay, now there are several different options for how I'm going to get my sound. I'm using Windows WAS API. I do not know what that acronym means, but it works the best. There's also MME and Windows Direct Sound. I haven't fooled around too much. I found one that worked well and sounded good, and the quality of the sound sounded like the original, and I was happy. So I set this to Windows WS API, and notice my input device. Okay, my input device is actually the HD is the flat screen TV, is the monitor. So my input device isn't the microphone, it's the monitor. Okay, Asus, whatever, and I'm using the Intel display audio that goes to the HDMI. And notice it says loopback. Okay, so essentially I'm recapturing the audio that I'm sending out to the flat screen, and it just does this. Audacity just does this. It's in stereo, and my output device is also the HDMI, the flat screen TV. So this is really important. This is the setup, everybody. You got to get this stuff right or this thing doesn't work. Now, the way you know it's working is you start recording. All right. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press play again.
Apologize for
And
the
I'm going to go back to
inconvenience.
Audacity.
The
I'm going to
program
press
will return in a
record.
few short moments. Please stand by.
Now I'm going to press stop. I'm going to pause my
station you're
signal.
listening to.
So what I did is I just started playing the audio sound. I went into Audacity. I pressed record. And notice I've got a signal here. Okay, if this were a flat line, that would be bad. It's not. I got a signal. So it looks to me like it worked. So let's click play.
Please stand by.
That might be really, really quiet. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it sounds exactly like the original. Now, the volume at which you're broadcasting to your screen, to your flat screen, to your whatever you're using for your HDMI signal, it matters. If you mute this signal, you're not going to get an audio because this is actually where it's grabbing the audio from this signal. No, look at my sliders up at the top. You see my sliders up at the top in Audacity move as I move this? So I generally crank this all the way up, okay? And all the way up, and I get a nice sound through Audacity. It's not overbearing, it's not blown out, it's not whatever. I would fool around with this ahead of time. Okay, you're going to want to make sure that full blast works for you, or maybe not, maybe 2/3. But fool around with this. Bottom line is, get this recording going. And I have had luck just letting this thing run for 4 hours. These are not huge files. I mean, they might be a couple of hundred megs by the time you're done, but these aren't that big. Also, you're going to need to follow the instructions for downloading a DLL called Lame, Lame. You can see that in the Audacity help, but you need a third-party DLL called Lame, Lame, to export MP3s. You don't have to export MP3s, but when you're all done with Audacity and you've got your recording file, you're going to need to save it as something. MP3, WAV, whatever audio format you might prefer. I guess you could save it as an MPEG or something with no video. I don't know. I save it as an MP3, and you have to get a DLL to do that. So you take your chip from your recording device and you take it out after the game's over, and you got your big MP3 file from Audacity, and so you've got your audio and your video, and you are ready to make your Homercast video. So now let's pop over to Adobe Premiere. I use Premiere. You can use something else, I guess. Most people use Premiere for editing video. Let's do this. So notice I have an audio clip over here. Excuse me, I have a video clip over here, and I'm going to drag it into the timeline. Now I need to remove the audio from this clip. Notice there's audio and video. I don't want the audio from the TV. Okay, so I'm going to right click on this clip and I'm going to unlink. That disconnects the audio and the video. Then I'm going to click on the audio down here one time and press the delete key. Boom. No more audio clip. So I'm video only now. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to find the video clip that I made from Audacity. Now, unfortunately, I only have this little tiny video clip right here. So I'm sorry. Normally this would be a big strip of, excuse me, I only have this little tiny audio clip. Okay. I've deleted everything. I'm all done. And I've posted my video and I've cleared out all my files. I don't keep them. So, normally this would be a big audio strip. So now what you've got to do is you've got to synchronize the audio to the video. So what you want to do is you want to try and start your video recording and your audio recording at the same time as much as possible. So press the button on your recording device and then press record in Audacity. Click, click, as quick as you can. Now that'll make it where they're almost synchronized, but they won't be. And then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to, number one, you're going to want to press the letter S in Premiere. That'll turn off the locking in. I forget what the term is, but anyway, it's where it locks when you slide things around. It kind of locks them into grids. You don't want that. You want to be able to move these things around very precisely. So press S to free that up. You can look up exactly what the S key does, but that sort of locks or unlocks the grid for moving things around. And then here's what I do. I look for a flag. Watch the video up at the top. And what we're looking for is a flag. I want to say there's one here early in this clip. I thought I'd already found one. Let's see. Dang it. Dang it, folks. Hang on. I don't guess it has to be a flag. What you need is the umpire, the referee, or the umpire. You need him talking. Okay, here. So this is not a flag, is it? All right, this isn't a flag, but I normally look for a flag. You can see the yellow bar down here where it says flag, okay? And then find the umpire talking, okay? And so what you can do is when the umpire's talking is you can see his mouth move. Here you go, right here. Now, so this was not a flag, but notice his mouth is moving and he's talking. And what I can do is I can sync the audio clip with his mouth moving. Now, here's how you nudge the clips around. So click on the audio clip and then press Shift Alt. Click on the audio clip or the video clip in the timeline down here. Press Shift Alt and I can nudge this audio clip backwards and forwards. All right, it's hard to see, but I'm moving it bit by bit by bit right now. I'm using the left arrow and the right arrow. So Shift Alt, left arrow, right arrow. All right, and That's how you get them in sync. And just keep moving things left and right until the mouth from the umpire exactly matches what you're hearing from the audio clip that came from the radio broadcast. And then go ahead and render the entire video, commercials and all, into one giant video. Once you've done that, start a new Premiere project. Bring the audio video clip that you've rendered into the program. It now has the video from the TV and the audio from the radio broadcast. And then chop out all the commercials. All right. So there's really two steps to Premiere: bringing the audio video together and synchronizing it and rendering, and then chopping out all the commercials and making your final video. And when you're all done, you'll have something kind of like I've got here, which is super cool because now when Georgia makes a big play, I get to listen to Scott Howard make the call.
Go deep. There's Hartman wide open. Catched it he caught it at the 15. He waltzes into the end zone. He caught it right on his hip at the 15-yard line. Had to be a block.
And that is how you make a Homercast.